Welcome to That's What She Said, where we'll spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region with your host, Christiana Malacara.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to That's What She Said. I'm your host, Christiana Malacara, the one and only. Yes, that is I. Thank you so much for tuning in every week and investing in yourself as we spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region here in Michigan. The ways that you can tune in, there's many ways. My favorite, over the airwaves, which would be at 100.5 and 790 or WSGW.com. And that would be Saturday morning at 8 a.m. or Sunday in the evening at 6 p.m. Those time slots, the 8 a.m., those early birds, those girls getting up and getting things done, and then Sundays to unwind. That's really the audience that we're attracting is, those listeners that are just driving from somewhere and unwinding and investing in themselves by tuning into That's What She Said. Obviously on Facebook, YouTube, live at 1:30 on Thursdays. That's What She Said days. And then anywhere 24/7 where you listen to your podcast. Follow us on social media. Social media is a great way to share what you've learned, to share, even if it's just a 4-minute cut of our hour-long conversation. You could always just send that to someone with a timestamp and say, hey, I heard something and it made me think of you. It made me think of you. So that kind of brings me into a thought that I had this past week about the two terms here of attention. We're paying attention. And then I like to kind of, think of what would the opposite word be? What would the opposing word be? What would be a correlating word to this word, this feeling that is evoked? And in my head came intention. Intention. So if you're moving through life with paying attention, but are you giving this thing your full intention? It could be anything. It could, are you paying attention to your spouse? Are you paying attention to your children? Are you paying attention to your career, your finances, all of these things? I'm paying attention to them, but am I doing these things with positive intention? Once you do that, there's going to be bounds and leaps of happiness, because I have sat down with so many wonderful women across from me, and what they're doing is they're navigating through life with intention. And it wasn't always that way. And as you can go back into our YouTube archive, it wasn't always that way for a lot of these women. They didn't move through life with intention, but now that they've put these two things together, the correlation of the success of their life and all these things are coming together. Are coming together, which we all hope all of our pieces one day come together. And so I have this amazing guest with me today, and she is just someone that is making leaps and bounds in the community. She is a glowing light with a wonderful story that has truly changed the lives of so many people around her. And that would be Miss Donna Clarke. Hi.
Hi there. I'm so happy to be on the show. I listen to you all the time.
Oh, that makes me so excited. So excited to hear, because you are someone that I have observed from afar. I see what you're doing. I see the ripple effect of what your actions are and the positive that you're putting out into the community, especially in the women here in the region. And so I've always seen from a distance, and now to have you in front of me, I'm just like, she's here.
Aw, thank you.
So how may the community might know you?
I am the executive director of Emmaus House. For those who do not know, Emmaus House is a transitional living home for women coming from jail, prison, or inpatient drug rehab. It is a place for them to land and heal and be forgiven and start a new life.
Yeah. So how long have you held this position?
I am in my 6th year.
Ooh, okay.
And, it's just an amazing thing, because I started out as a guest at Emmaus House, and I was broken and frail and lost, and Emmaus House saved my life. And what a beautiful thing it is. I get to run the program that saved my life.
That is,
It is
feels, I'm sure it feels full circle for you.
absolutely.
So Emmaus House, for a couple minutes here, let's, just give the background of the Emmaus House, in case we have a listener who can benefit from the services that you have. So, what is Emmaus House? Can we go into depth? Where is it located, and who can benefit from the services?
Okay. Well, and it is homeless women that come to us. We just take from jail, prison, and rehab because our main focus is substance use disorder and mental health. We focus a lot on behavioral modification, life skills, self-esteem. What we do is empower these women to start a new life. I have some amazing women who got lost, and through drug addiction and crime and homelessness. And when they come to us and have a soft landing, they have not only support, but love. And my whole staff is in recovery. So it's people just like them who there's no judgment. There's women who my girls there's nothing they can tell me that will shock me. I have been everywhere they've been, and it feels good to them to know that their director and their assistant director and their residential manager have all been where they've been, so they can respect that more. We found a way out, and we lay out a path for these women to follow. There's no time limit at Emmaus House. You may stay as long as you're staying clean and sober, which we do a lot of drug testing and breathalyzing. You have to follow our rules, which we have rules. It is a disciplined, routine, structured program, which is very important for people coming from chaos of streets and crime and homelessness. And they have to be working on a goal. You can't retire at Emmaus House. It is a working program. So they have to be working on whether it be healing inside, going back to school. We have 3 ladies in the ETC program here in Saginaw. 2 ladies are starting Delta College in the fall, never been to college. You have to be getting a part-time job. They're not allowed to work full-time because the recovery has to come first. Mm-hmm. Saving money. Some of our ladies qualify for Social Security disability. We help them with that. Some ladies are trying to work with friend of the court and CPS to get their children back. It's the hardest thing for a mother to be in community living away from their children, because they have to almost put their children aside for a minute and get well. If they don't focus on themselves, then they won't be the good mothers that they need to be. But we do supervised visits. It's so beautiful to watch these women reunite with their children. And I know personally, because that's what I had to do at Emmaus House. But it is between the life skills and self-esteem and anger management, all these things to help heal why they started using in the first place. That's where the core is. The drugs and alcohol were just a symptom of what was really going on. And we dig deep. Our girls have to see a therapist once a week. They have to do 2 recovery groups or self-esteem groups during the week at Emmaus House. And they have to attend a 12-step meeting every single day while they reside at Emmaus House. It's a very routine, structured program, but I'm telling you, it's working, because the success stories that I could sit and tell you about for hours, and I know it's an hour-long program, but the success stories make my heart smile every day. And I know they're still successful because they come back and visit. All of our ex-guests remain part of our family and come back and visit all the time.
So if we have a listener out there who is this woman or knows a woman who says, I need to be here, this is it. This was the answer that I'm looking for, and I just, this is placed in my path right now. How can they get a hold of you? Where are you located, and how do they qualify?
We are located 733 South 14th Street, which is the heart of the city of Saginaw. It's funny because when I was dropped off at Emmaus House, my family brought me. I'm from Macomb County, so I'd never been to Saginaw. And you drive through the streets, and I said, how am I going to heal here? This is downtown where I knew that there were drugs and crime. And my sister just said, you're going to figure it out. It is, we have a compound. We have 5 houses here in Saginaw. We have a thrift store. And when you get to the corner of where we're located, oh, it's so beautiful to see all these women outside. They weed, they plant flowers. They're working in the store. The camaraderie, the laughter you hear. If anybody thinks that this would be a good fit for them, the first thing you have to do is we have to take you from a drug rehabilitation facility. If you are having issues with alcohol or drugs, get into treatment and call me. Our phone number is 989-755-7538. Call and we will pick you up from rehab and bring you into our beautiful program because it's saving lives and it's changing lives. It's working. It is working.
And you see the results.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. You're a living result of this.
I absolutely am. If you would have seen me 8 years ago, I am 8 years clean and sober.
Congratulations.
If you would have seen me 8 years ago, and if somebody would have told me I would be the executive director of Emmaus House, I would have said, you've lost your mind because I can't even figure out who I am and what I want to be anymore. I was lost for a very long time. And Emmaus House helped me find myself again with support and love and discipline, which is necessary.
Discipline.
And the consequences. The consequences are what kept me in line because I had to stay clean and sober. I had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
I had burned all my bridges. My family was pretty much done with me. I have a big family. And I had no other choice, but the consequences kept me in line. And they're necessary.
So let's go back to that. You started out by saying, I got dropped off to Emmaus House. And it sounds like you never left.
I didn't. I did never leave. And I even remained. It was funny because after my first year, I became house manager of House 1, which is our big position for our guests. Because you have to be a guest to be a house manager. Every house has a house manager to make sure rules are followed, curfews followed, chores are being done. So I was made house manager. I never wanted it. I just said, I'm going to heal and go home. I'm going to heal and go home. Well, and they needed a house manager. And I told the director, I'll do it temporarily, but I'm not staying here. I don't want this. I'll do it till you find somebody. Another year later, after being house manager for a year, I moved up to assistant director. And then about 6 months later, I was named executive director. If you would have told me that when I got there, I would have said, you lost your mind because I'm going back home. Now Saginaw is my home. I love Saginaw. To heal here, the resources here in Saginaw outnumber Macomb County by far.
So can we kind of unbox and unfold? You keep using the term, I healed, I'm better. What was it that we are better from?
You know, I always say childhood trauma. They don't teach coping skills. I wish they taught coping skills in high school, in junior high, because most of us addicts and alcoholics, the drugs and alcohol were our coping skill. We didn't know how to handle. In my family, it was stuff. Brush everything under the rug. We have this perfect little family. No, you don't talk about anything. That's how it was in my family. So you learn to stuff and stuff and stuff. And that drugs and alcohol became a release for me because you can only stuff so much until you lose it. And, you know, I graduated high school, all A's and cheerleader and on track and went to Western Michigan University and found alcohol in college because I was never a big alcohol or drug user at all. And I came from a strict upbringing. So when I got to college and there was no rules, no, you know, I could do whatever I wanted. All the childhood trauma I suffered, I found relief in alcohol. And then I didn't really like drinking very much. So had I not became a drug addict, I would have been an alcoholic. I know that 100%. Healing from, and everybody's different. Everybody has different traumas and some have abuse, whether it be verbal, sexual, physical. As a child, you're not equipped to handle that. And that's why a lot of people turn to drugs and alcohol to cope, which is what I did.
So when you're in college and you are experiencing these crutches almost to suppress these feelings that have happened a long time ago, what is something that I guess someone can benefit from when they're saying, I'm going through this, how can I address it now before it gets to this issue?
I say therapy because I think everybody in the world should have a therapist. And I never had a therapist until I got here to Saginaw, and I had the most amazing therapist. You can't go through life alone holding everything in. You need that person to talk to. So even if it's not a therapist, I had a team of people when I got here. I had a recovery coach. I had a sponsor. I had a therapist. I had mentors within Emmaus House to talk. And, just somebody listening to you. Not that we have all the answers at Emmaus House, but we listen to get things out. It's like you have all this garbage inside. And if you keep it in and don't talk about it, what happens? It gets toxic and it makes you sick. Just getting it out to somebody who is compassionate and wants to care about where you've been and what happened is healing. So for me, it was therapy and trusting people to tell my story, because I didn't tell anybody. I hid the fact that I went to prison. I hid the fact that I was a heroin addict. I hid that from everybody. To get that out and not be ashamed of it was so freeing. Nobody hurt me more than I hurt myself. The guilt and the shame of what I should have become versus what I became kept me sick for a very long time. But the healing of letting it out, and now nobody can hurt me with my past. I have owned it. I'm not proud of my past, but I own it 100%, because you know what? Had I not gone through everything I went through, I would not be this person sitting across from you today. And I really like this person today, which I hadn't liked myself in a really long time.
When did that start? When did that start for you that you're like, I don't like her. I can't do this anymore. I need to start my healing process.
Oh, I remember my bottom. I have 3 sons, and my mom died when I was little. So my life's goal was I wanted to be this amazing mother. And when I found drugs, and I was not an amazing mother, it took me a long time to say that I chose heroin over my children, which I did. And it was a defining moment in 2017 where if I could be so graphic, I loaded up a syringe with the amount that would kill me in one hand, and I had my cell phone in the other. And I was either going to call my sister, I never bothered my family, or I was going to end it all. And something inside me threw the syringe, and I called my sister crying for help, which I had never done. And she was over my house and got me into treatment the next day. The thing that made me get to that point was Mother's Day happened, and not one of my 3 sons called me. And that was a first. And I thought, I'm going to lose not only my family, but my children, who I love more than life, if I don't do something. And I didn't want to die, but I didn't care if I did. I was such a mess and so tired of living. I wasn't even living. I was existing. And it was just a horrible, I was, the last 10 years of my addiction was misery. And that's just plain and simple misery, and a hamster wheel of using every day and just keep using so you don't have to feel the pain. What a beautiful, peaceful, happy life I lead today from all the things I learned through therapy, groups, meetings, and learning that you have to forgive yourself. Addicts, what they do is not them. It's the drug induced them. And people just think, oh, I'm such a horrible person. Oh, I did this. But it was the drug addiction that got you to do those things. And once you start accepting the past and owning it, there's healing that goes on. I can't tell you when I started feeling this good, but somewhere at Emmaus House along the way, helping the women who are just like me is my life's purpose.
So I'm sure you hear similar stories.
Oh, absolutely.
Very parallel to yours, where you have, 2 hands and you're making a decision, and somewhere in the back of your head, you said, I'm going to call my sister.
Crying.
And she answered.
She sure did.
And not only
talked to her in a long time.
She answered, and she acted on it.
She sure did, because I had never asked for help. So she knew. They waited and waited for me to want a better life, a new life. But I was so lost in the addiction world. And, when the world turns its back on you, and I had felonies, and nobody believes in you anymore, you don't believe in yourself. And so I never bothered my family. I just thought, I'm a waste, and I'm going to die a drug addict. And this is the way my life is going to go, because I was so lost in that depression and misery of it all. But my sister knew as soon as I called crying, and I said, 3 words, I need help. And that was it. She got me, hope not handcuffs, got me into treatment, because I didn't have any health insurance or anything. They got me on Medicaid to cover treatment. And 30 days of treatment, when the treatment center in Macomb County said, you can go home now. I said, oh, but I can't. If I go home, I know I'm not done healing. I'm going to use. And they handed me this brochure for the Emmaus House. And I'd never been to Saginaw. I didn't even know what it was. I said, I don't have any money. They said, it's free. I said, send me there. Send me there. No questions. I thought I was going to this small, cute little town, one horse carriage town. And I pull into Saginaw like, what?
Where are you taking me?
Right. But
So you've said twice already that you weren't proud of the woman you were, that
Nope.
you were done with her. That was past you.
absolutely.
Are you proud of you right now?
Absolutely. It's beautiful to hear your family say, we're so proud of you and my children. We're so proud of you, Mom. But the best feeling in the world is I can look in the mirror and I'm really, really proud of how far I've come and the work I've done and the work that I'm doing to save women who are just like me. That's the most beautiful thing is these women walk in the door and I'm like, I know how you feel. Listen, you're me. And found a way out. And, although you can't, I wish I could take what I have inside and shove it down their throats. It doesn't work like that. You got to do the work. You got to feel the grief. You've got to go through rough periods. But you have a team at Emmaus House, a team of people to talk to at any time and to support you and say, listen, this too shall pass. It's temporary. And to help women who are just like me, because I was so lost, is the most beautiful part of my job, because these girls are me.
So now you're here at the Emmaus House, being the sister on the phone. And I love that. We're going to take a quick break right now, and we will be back for the second half of That's What She Said with Donna Clarke. She's running the place over there at the Emmaus House. If you have any questions about the Emmaus House, what's the phone number again?
Area code 989-755-7538.
All right. Well, come on back to the second half of That's What She Said as we dive a little bit deeper into Donna's story.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara is back. Now let's spill the tea.
Hi, and welcome back to the rest of the conversation with Donna Clarke. My name's Christiana Malacara, and thank you for tuning in and just to this captivating story, this captivating journey of several chapters opened and closed, and now we're here at this beautiful chapter of hope. But maybe not just hope for you, Donna, hope for other women, which is very exciting. So we have Donna Clarke with us, and you are at the Emmaus House, just making things happen for several women and helping them through the process of healing.
Absolutely.
You use that word a lot, healing. And it sounds like not healed, but healing. Like this
Always.
is an ongoing process.
Yes, always. You don't forget the past. You can heal from the past, but it pops in when you least expect it. And so you're continuously healing. Some of the stories I hear of my ladies, it's just heartbreaking. I sometimes look at myself like, you did not have it bad, because the stories are just so heart-wrenching. But they're healing, and they'll probably always be healing. But as long as you're not picking up a substance or doing self-harm in any way, you're moving forward.
So as you're helping these ladies go through their healing process, is there ever an instance where instead of you saying, yes, I'm helping you, is this ever triggering to you like, oh, this might have gotten too close to my story?
No, actually not, because it's when the girls have very similar stories, it's a beautiful moment when I say, it just brings you closer, because you know the pain of what they're going through. I've felt it. I don't get triggered by that. There's not anything they can tell me that will shock me. I've heard a lot of just horrific stories of their childhood or of a domestic abuse situation. But no, I don't feel like that. I identify with these women in every aspect. And I love when their stories mimic mine, because then I'm just like, oh my gosh, we are so much alike. And it all helps them to know she knows how I feel. She's been there.
Because there's success at the end.
Absolutely. We have so many success stories that it's the best part of my job is watching them come in. We always say they come in like caterpillars, and when they leave like butterflies, spread their wings and go.
Do you mind sharing one if we can go through a success story?
Absolutely. Okay. So I want to think of the best ones are the ones with the moms reuniting with the children. It's just as a mom, it's very hard to forgive yourself when it affects your children. So I have one lady, and she came to me on recovery court, which is drug court, but it's now called recovery court here in Saginaw. And she, you know, a lot of trauma, a lot of drug use. And she came to us, and, recovery court offers way more consequences than I can give, which means you go back to jail or prison. And she's went through the process. I made her my store manager, and she wasn't, still behaviors. The behaviors are what set them back. So I had to replace her as store manager. She still had behaviors, but she would see her children here and there. And now she's graduated. So she will graduate sobriety court come September. She's not in my program anymore. She's moved on, but she has her children back. And she is in a healthy relationship with the children's father. And she's doing phenomenal. She has just exceeded in a short amount of time. I mean, she was with me probably a little over a year. Most of our girls stay about a year, a little over a year. But to see on Facebook with her children doing this and doing that, and the smiles on everybody's faces is just that makes it all worth it. Recovery court's not easy. They make the process, and the girls get so frustrated, but she did it.
Do you ever see, because I'm sure all these stories are, you say an addiction, right? Homelessness after leaving jail or prison, but there's an addiction thread that's common. Is there a recovery thread that is common as well with these ladies?
There's not. Everybody recovers at a different rate, at a different pace. Some have more wreckage or trauma, and some had been using 25 years. So every single one of them recovers at a different rate. Some are educated, some are not. Some have skills, some do not. I've had nurses, I've had teachers, I have hairdressers, I have amazing cooks and amazing mothers. But, everybody recovers at a different rate. And I always tell them, do not compare. Just because somebody stayed 6 months and they're out clean doing great things, it took me 2 years before I was even ready to go with my family on the weekends and go like away from the bubble of Emmaus House, because it was my safe zone. It's where I grew my roots. It was my foundation. And, I had 25 years of a heroin addiction. That's a long time. And so these 8 years that I have are beautiful, but it's nothing compared to 25 years of trauma, wreckage, misery. So it's everybody's different.
So what was that kind of like aha pivoting point for you where it's like, okay, I'm ready to leave the Emmaus House neighborhood. I can do this. I'm pushing myself out of the bubble. Or did you push yourself out of the bubble, or did someone else say, okay, you got this, Donna, go?
I did. I knew when it was time, and I don't know how I knew, but I had been saving my money because I was living at Emmaus House while I was director. And I just knew I wasn't scared. And you can't get too overconfident in recovery, because you don't want to get complacent where I got this, I'm all healed, because I'll always be an addict my whole life. And no matter how many years clean you have, you're one day away from a bad decision. So I keep that first and foremost in front of my brain.
Say that again.
And no matter how much clean time you have, whether it's 20 years, 2 years, 8 years, you're always one day away from a bad decision.
Wow.
I love the term, and somebody said it in a meeting, was to protect that split second. That split second decision can change your whole life. And, once you're an addict, you're always an addict. I am in remission because I do recovery and I go to meetings and I take care of myself now. And I don't do meetings every day but I still go to meetings. And I work recovery every day. But, you can't get too confident because old Donna's still in here somewhere. And although I've got her under control, everybody's in recovery is one day away from a bad choice.
Oh, I love this, Donna. And it sounds like a little bit I always do these little monologues in the beginning, and they're just notes based off of things that I've written throughout the week without having you in front of me. And I wrote down intention. And you are intentionally making the decision to be this Donna.
Absolutely.
So let's unpack the fact that your sons didn't text you for Mother's Day.
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
And
they were sick of me.
What is the relationship with them today?
Oh my gosh.
Guys, okay, if you're not watching this on camera, she just has the biggest smile, is blushing and totally just just glowing and lit up. Like, okay, go ahead, because I love the smile.
They, they were angry with me for so long and disgusted with me probably. And they kept me at a distance for a while until they stopped talking to me. So when you get clean and sober, you think, oh, I'm good now. Come on back. No, it doesn't work like that. They were very, very skeptical, which they should have been. How many times I told them I was done and wasn't. So you know what? This time I didn't tell them. This time I would send text. I love you. I'm working on me. I miss you. That's it. No expectations. And then when they saw me, and I was probably close to a year clean and sober, and they saw something different, my sister said, you're glowing. Yeah. And I said, well, I don't see that, but I sure feel it. And slowly they started to trust me again, probably with a little bit of hesitation. But now they come and stay at my house. I go stay at my son's house. They're older now. Mm-hmm. My youngest is 22. But just to hear them excited, we go to lunch on the weekends. I take them on vacation every winter, and they trust me today. Today, they're not worried. And they don't need to worry. I have a grandbaby now.
I heard.
Just had my first grandson. And what an amazing, and there was probably a point in time where this never would have happened for me. And when I got to walk down the aisle when my son was married, all those things could have very easily not happened. But thank God for recovery, because they are in my life. And I talk to them all the time and I see them all the time. And I never thought that would happen.
Did they have a role in your healing process?
Absolutely, because they also made it harder. It hurt that I'm clean and sober now and you don't want to see me. Like, I had those moments of selfishness, like, I'm back. Well, I had been gone for so long. I expected them to just come running back with open arms. And it didn't happen that way. So they forced me to do work and put myself in their shoes. I had been gone a long time, and their dad, they stayed with their dad, and I'm divorced from him. But I just expected to get clean and sober and they'd come running back. I hurt them a lot more than I realized. So they're still healing. And I have the mother-son relationship back though, because at first it was kind of like just friends. Like, we'll see you when we see you.
They were cautious.
They were very, and as they should have been. But today, no, I'm mom. And grandma, which is just unbelievable. So no, that is probably the best feeling in the world, is that my children trust me today. My children are proud of me today. When I'm on Channel 5 and I send clips back home, they're just like, what? And then when I was in that book, and they're just like, Mom, you're really doing this. And I am. I'm out there saving women who are just like me, helping to save them and change their lives, because I know what it feels like.
So we're talking about a step process, right? I am naive and do not know much about the step process that we have to work through. But what was the one step of your healing journey that kind of halted you, that kind of pushed you back and was like, this one is going to be a tough one?
Well, that's a good question. The toughest thing for me was forgiving myself for my past. I'm so easily to forgive other people, and I have a very forgiving heart, but forgiving myself for the damage that I caused with my children, and forgiving myself for the things that drugs made me do. And I say that drugs made me do because when I was before I started drugs, I never stole anything. I never hurt anybody.
You were a cheerleader on the track team.
I was. And
you were in college.
I say this all the time. Drugs showed me things I never wanted to see, taught me things I never wanted to learn, and made me see things I never wanted to see.
So how do women forgive themselves?
Oh, good question. You have to love yourself to know that you are human and everybody makes mistakes. There is nobody perfect in this world. And some people make bigger mistakes than others. But you know what? Our parents weren't taught to be perfect parents. I had to forgive my father for the abuse that went on. Forgive my mother for dying when I was 8 and leaving me to a father who abused me. And all that is part of the healing process, forgiving. You know, my father is gone and deceased, and I forgave him. I didn't go to his funeral or memorial or anything. But true forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you to let it go. And it took me a long time to understand that. I always thought, I'm not forgiving them. He doesn't deserve forgiveness. It's not for him. It's for me to heal and let it go. And once you realize that, I make mistakes all the time. I love that I make mistakes, because when you make mistakes, you're growing and learning. And today I'm the first to say, that was my fault. I made that mistake. It feels good to be that way. I'm not perfect.
So when you forgave your dad, what emotion did you let go of? Like, what was it that you held on to, that you let go to move forward?
I loved him so much. And when my mom died, he was my whole world. And I loved my father. He was a strong, smart, he was a business owner. And I loved him. And so I had to forgive the part that when he did what he did to me, and I was so lost and I didn't know. And it was my only person in my life that I had left. I had to forgive him for ruining that child, a child who just lost her mother, and doing what he did. And I was so little. I was 8, 9 years old. And I lost my innocence at that age. And that's not fair. So he scarred me for life for that. Today, I'm okay because I forgave. But there's still parts of me, that have changed and can never go back to that innocent child.
What's a piece of advice that you would give to a woman who is reluctant to forgive?
Talk about it with your safe people, whether it be a therapist, a friend. You need to talk about it. The more you talk about it and get it out, the less it eats you up. You hold secrets, and secrets keep you sick. And I live by that. I don't have secrets today. I sometimes give too much information, but secrets will keep you sick. Get that one person or that group, whether it be a trauma group, or there's so many groups and recovery and therapy offered in this city. This city is a recovering town. And talk, get it out, because the more you keep it in, it festers and it keeps you angry.
Who's that person for you?
That's a good question. Well, at first it was my therapist, who I really, really adored. Then my recovery coach. But I'll tell you now, my assistant director was the girl who went through Amaya's house with me, is my best friend. And whenever I'm feeling squirrely or need to get something, I call her. And we both agreed we wouldn't have made it through Amaya's house without each other. Wow. So she was my rock, and she's a lot like me. And we both can tell each other anything. So she's my go-to.
Your safe person.
My safe person. Absolutely.
Is it important? I mean, in recovery, an addict or not, just a woman who's feeling overwhelmed with life, is it important to have a safe person?
Absolutely. Everybody. That's why I said everybody should have a therapist. It's that impartial person who's not going to fix everything for you. They're going to listen and have hopefully some suggestions on coping skills or ways to deal with what you're going through, because they go to school for that. Mm-hmm. But in life, for an addict or an alcoholic, speak to somebody who's been where you've been and is healed and moved forward in a positive way. Because, just like when priests, no offense to anybody, but counsel married couples on how to do marriage. And I'm always like, well, how do they know? They've never been married. Or a therapist who's never been addicted to drugs or alcohol, they're going to tell you how to stay off drugs and alcohol. For me, that never worked. Like, how do you know? You don't know what withdrawal feels like. You don't know. And I tell everybody this: if you're not an addict or an alcoholic, take your cell phone and put it away for 24 hours. Every time you think about it is what we do in recovery. Every time you think about my phone,
That's a good exercise.
that's what we do with drugs and alcohol until you get to a certain point where you're not thinking about it 24/7. You're not, you get to a point, if you're doing recovery, you get to that point. But that's what it's like.
I can appreciate that exercise.
Yeah.
I really can. That's a good one. And especially for women, we carry many tasks throughout our day. And so there is that one thing where it's like, oh, I need to release. I need to unwind.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you have to.
That unwind part.
It's the self-care
It's
that's
just
necessary.
Self-care.
Self-care is
That's
so
what it was.
important. And, especially when you get busy, and I am very busy. I always make it a point to keep my self-care time.
That was my next question.
Yes.
Is how are you able to pour into all of these women? How the energy that it takes, the mental capacity, what is it that you're doing for yourself?
Well, and you have to, because it's a lot.
Mhm.
Especially with a lot of the mental health issues that it's a co-occurring disorder, substance use disorder and mental health. I could get burned out, but I'm very good on keeping my self-care time, meaning when I go home to see my grandson and my sons, which is my self-care, my assistant knows she's got the phone, because Emmaus House is a 24/7 job. You have girls that need to talk to you at 2 a.m. I want to go use. You have girls that have a breakdown or PTSD. You have to be available to talk. So we have our times where
Disconnect.
yeah. Yep. And I tell my assistant, you got the weekend, right? I'm self-care day. Or even I go with my friends to get our nails done.
I was
The
gonna say, what do you
laughter.
do on self-care
Listen,
day?
the laughter that I share with my friends in recovery. And that's really the people that I hang out with most, because I have the most in common. I go with my family, but they drink and stuff, which is fine. I don't. But I'm never as comfortable as I am with my recovery people. So we get our nails done. We get our hair done. Diane and I go tonight to get our hair done together. I love my dinners with Diane and our friend Cheryl. We do it once a month. And that's self-care, because I get with those two and I just adore both of them. And it's that's the self-care I'm talking about. You have to have time for self-care. You can't work. You have to have time to enjoy life.
And here we go. I'm going to ask the question. Yeah, I know you know what's coming. So what is a piece of advice that you would pass along to a woman in the region?
Okay, this goes for anybody, no matter what. Stop living in the past. The past causes depression, sadness, and you can't change it. Don't go too far in the future. If you go too far, that causes fear and anxiety. Stay in the day. Enjoy the moment. Life goes by very, very fast. And enjoy the days and take it one day at a time is my life motto.
I love that. And before we close here in the last minute, can you share the name of the organization, address, phone number, and who can reach out to you?
Absolutely. It is Emmaus House of Saginaw. We are located at 733 South 14th Street in Saginaw. Phone number 989-755-7538. And if you need help or guidance, give us a call, because we'll get you to where to go to rehab and get you to where you can be to come to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate all of your wisdom you've shared today. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Donna Clarke, and that's what she said.